Zilliqa's native token called ZIL had a pretty good pump. Now it's having a pretty big pullback, but that's not concerning to me because reaching the price of $1 when it comes to ZIL during this bull run, that's still my price target. I'm not changing that even though that's not financial advice. And the way you take a look at it is that oftentimes people, they're stuck under this vicious cycle where they keep panic buying when things are pumping, but then they panic sell when things are dumping. But you know what? That's not my style. I dollar cost average. So anytime an income, I'm acquiring, I'm holding, and I'm just waiting. That way I don't get overtaken by my emotions. And that way I'm able to stay in the game long term because I think this is more of a marathon, not a sprint. And when it comes to Zilliqa, I think it's a project that's going to age like fine wine because let's take this into consideration. Zilliqa, in my opinion, is arguably one of the best projects out there. And the reason being is because allegedly, it's even been stated that Zilliqa was the world's first sharding-based blockchain. Now, some people may think that, okay, this is a little bit caca because, this isn't anything cool or interesting. But if you take a look at sharding at its core, even though Zilliqa is not the only project that utilizes this right here I think is very special. You take a look at how through sharding, the network is split into multiple sections known as shards, and workload on the network, they are distributed amongst these different shards. And as a result of that, not only does it become very scalable, but just overall becomes very fast and I think very awesome, just generally speaking. Now, if you take a look at other sharding orientated projects, in a sense, that's what I like to call it. You take a look at the Near protocol. You take a look at, for instance, something else like Harmony. Now, in my opinion, when people often say that, oh yeah, Zilliqa is nothing special because other projects do use sharding technology, I disagree. I think if anything, that's a good sign because if more projects use it, I think that right there shows that it's actually working. But even besides that point, if you take a look at Zilliqa, something that people often overlook is Zilliqa 2.0 because this right here, through this, it just makes Zilliqa a lot better. For instance, through Zilliqa 2.0, it is EVM compatible, which is Ethereum Virtual Machine. That's what EVM stands for. Now, why is this so crucial? It's because Ethereum, yes, there are some caca nonsense like the sky-high gas fees and scalability issues. But the amazing thing about it is that the ecosystem is very fantastic. The diversity of projects is just through the roof. And not to mention as well, the quality of projects is pretty much unrivaled in this whole space. So when you take a look at Ethereum, of course, it's something that's going to continue to grow from here on out, especially with the Ethereum ETF. There's a lot of bullish sentiment there. So when you take a look at, again, Zilliqa 2.0 being EVM compatible, that right there is a genius move. Now, granted, was it necessary to have Zilliqa 2.0? In my opinion, I wouldn't really care anyways, because even before Zilliqa 2.0, I was still bullish on Zilliqa, but this is a good addition. Just think about this, right? Do people need jewelry to survive? In my opinion, I don't know about that. Like, for instance, if I had like 10 gold chains and I was stuck on an island or something like that, could I eat that to survive? Yeah, I don't know about that. So if you think about it, this isn't really super necessary, hashtag Jorge Masvidal, but then at the same time, it's just a feel-good factor. It showcases that Zilliqa isn't lazy. It showcases that they actually care about the project. And I do really like that. That's a big thumbs up for me. Now, also not to mention, through Zilliqa 2.0, the state of the network is divided into interconnected application-specific shards called X shards, which can be customized to suit the needs of the apps built on them. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool statement, I guess. I don't think people really care about that, but you know what? It sounds cool, so I'll take that. It's like, for instance, right, I got a 34 on my ACT. Now, arguably, some people would think that's a very good score, but you know what? It's irrelevant in my life as of right now. Also, another thing I'm very good at is math. I could do calculus 1, 2, and 3 so easily. For instance, people like to say calc 2 is very difficult, but without even studying right now, let's say someone just said, hey, do a calc 2 exam right here, right now. In my opinion, I could at least get 95% in almost any exam, really. I mean, I would say 100%, but you know what? 5% give or take. This is why I think that when it comes to stuff like this, it's cool at the time, but it doesn't really matter. It's like Zilliqa 2.0. It's cool, but you know what? I was still bullish on Zilliqa anyways. However, it's still a feel-good factor nonetheless. Now, here's the thing. We take a look at how through Zilliqa 2.0, it's also now lightning fast. Not that it was like slow before, but you know what? If it's a little bit faster, why not? The root mainnet shard will now feature average block times of as low as 2 seconds. So that's very impressive. Again, there wasn't anything necessarily wrong with Zilliqa anyways, but this is good. Now, not to mention, there's currently over 100 projects on Zilliqa, which I think is pretty good. 100, some people may think, okay, over that isn't the best. figure, but it doesn't really matter because Zilliqa isn't the biggest project out there, so it's not supposed to have the best figures out there. But I think, if anything, it showcases that it's heading in the right direction. And also it showcases that, again, a lot of people do trust Zilliqa. Not to mention, we take a look at how on its ecosystem, there are projects in areas like DeFi, NFTs, and gaming, which I'm very bullish on those markets, so I think it's a good sign. Now, when I take a look at Zilliqa's native token called ZIL overall, again, pullbacks, I think it's bound to happen. The journey to the top isn't smooth sailing. Just take a look at even in real life. Usually people, their journey to the top isn't going to be this straight shot. It's not like Bitcoin went from the price of $1 all the way to $100,000 without any pullbacks. That wasn't the case. Multiple pullbacks along the way. Again, the journey to the top isn't always going to be smooth sailing. But in my opinion, I think better days are ahead because even according to Charles Hoskinson, and he's a very reputable individual, by the way, he's the co-founder of Ethereum and the founder of Cardano. According to him, back in November on a video that he was a part of, he did say in the next 1 to 2 years, he could very well see Bitcoin reaching anywhere between $250,000 all the way up to $500,000. Now, this is very amazing because if, let's say, Bitcoin just reaches $250,000, quote unquote, right, just, even at that point, $1 for ZIL may seem a little bit bearish, in my opinion at least, because ZIL going to the price of $1, that right there, considering current circulating supply and market cap, would be around $19 billion. Keep in mind, this is way less than something like Shiba Inu, which at one point reached around 40 billion, and Dogecoin reached over 80 billion. So I'm not talking about a crazy figure here. I get it. ZIL going to the price of $1 is around a 46x from here. That's not going to be the best upside out there, but you know what? Considering how much ZIL has pumped, relatively speaking, I'm not talking about the pullback, but I'm just saying just how massive the project is overall. Doing an additional, let's say hypothetically, over a 40x from here doesn't seem too caca. Not to mention, why would this bull run be bad? There's over 600 million crypto owners according to Crypto.com research. That right there is more than ever before in history. Take that into consideration. I think this bull run could be so fantastic, but it's just a waiting game. Again, people oftentimes think that, oh yeah, once they get a 2 or 3x, they're out. But if I was looking for something like that, I'd probably be in something boring like the S&P 500 or stocks, but I'm not looking for that. And again, sometimes people, they get a 2 or 3x, a lot of them, they panic sell, or let's say they just cash out, they don't care anymore. And then it creates a lot of, downward pressure, and then the price goes down and everyone thinks it's caca. But really, that's just more so people thinking that a 2 or 3x is the peak and then leaving. And often people associate that with the project having bad fundamentals or something's wrong with the project. But I completely disagree with that. Again, you take a look at Bitcoin, believe it or not, again, at one point it was at the price of $1. There are people who cashed out at $3. There are people who cashed out at $10. There are people who stuck through even to 50,000 and 100,000, right? From that point on. So the way you take a look at it, yes, some people are going to leave along the way, but when something is amazing fundamentally, and also if the sentiment for the crypto space gets a lot better, which I hypothetically do think it will get a lot better, but it's just a waiting game, I don't see why something like ZIL won't go along with the ride and let's say go to the price of $1 during this bull run. That's just my point of view, which is why I'm still staying patient. I'm not giving up. And I think that ZIL could hypothetically do special things during this bull run. I think 2024 was a small taste, but I think 2025 could very well be the real deal. And I'm going to stay patient. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.